Welcome back, dear learners. Dear learners, let us continue William Wordsworth's beautiful poem, Solitary Reaper. In the first video, or in the last video you can say that, but that was the first video on this very particular poem, the Solitary Reaper of Wordsworth. In the second of this very particular video, in the first video, I had to just explain it to you, the first stanza, first 8 lines of the poem, in which actually the poet talks about a highland girl, okay, who is all alone in her just a crop field, singing and reaping. He emphasizes on this very particular thing that the reaper was single. She is single. She has nobody to help her in her reaping. She has nobody to help her in performing reaping. It means here he tries to give a hint about the humble background of this very particular speaker. Then he talks about the melody of that very particular song, that the melody of this song is so sweet that he realizes that his attention is arrested. Though there are passers who are absolutely indifferent to the song of the girl, but the poet is unable to bring himself out of that trance that the song of this girl has put him in. Now let's see what does he talk about this very particular poem, this very particular stanza. How does he compare the song of this reaper to greatest singers, two greatest singsters, one nightingale maybe and the other cuckoo. Maybe Wordsworth is here giving a hint to that very particular nightingale. Later, the greatest poet of the second generation, John Keats, glorified in his poem Ode to a Nightingale. So now let us look at the second stanza of the poem and have a better understanding of this poem, my dear learners. See, no nightingale did ever chaunt. Chaunt here stands for sing. More welcome notes to a weary band. Weary means, my dear learners, tired, exhausted. Band means group. Band means group. So he says in the first 2 lines of the second stanza that no nightingale would have ever sung such a mesmerizing note that this solitary girl is singing to welcome or to entertain the tired band of travelers in the desert country or in the Arabian country. He says here, he directly compares the song of this girl to the song of the nightingale, and here he see how he deprecates the song of the nightingale in comparison with the song of this girl, and he says that nightingale does stands nowhere in the melody, in the sweetness of the song of this reaper, of travelers in some shady haunt. Why does he call the haunt? Why? Because in the desert, in the just Arabian countries, we do not find lots of trees. Travelers have to travel a lot, and they have to rest under a tree. So wherever the travelers found tree in the olden time, they had to rest. And since there were a few trees, so those a few trees were badly overcrowded, you can say that, overcrowded with the large number of the travelers, and those trees were almost frequented, means almost every day we could see, or one could see, large number of the travelers resting under those trees, and there they were entertained, they were somehow delighted and amused by the sweetest songs of the nightingales. But he says, he here outrightly rejects the supremacy of the song of the nightingale and tries to establish the supremacy of the song of this young solitary highland lass, my dear learners. Let's see. So see, in the first four lines of the poem, the poet draws a comparison between nightingale and the song of this highland lass, and straightway comes on to a conclusion on the merit of on the comparative merit of the song, and he says that the song of the girl is far better, or the song of the girl is absolutely mind-blowing. Nightingale stands nowhere. Now let's see the last four lines of the poem. He says, a voice so thrilling was never heard in springtime from cuckoo bird. So now in the fifth and sixth line of this poem, now he draws another comparison. Now he makes another comparison. Now the comparison is between another singing star, another just a singing bird, that is cuckoo, and he again outrightly rejects the supremacy, rejects the greatness of cuckoo. He says that no cuckoo would ever have sung so sweet note to break the silence of the seas early in the morning in the certain remotest of far off islands of Scotland. Means again he is trying to establish the supremacy of the song of this young girl, my dear learners. See this? Breaking the silence of the seas among the farthest Hebrides. So he says that so far as the opinion of the poet is concerned, no cuckoo, no bird would ever have sung such a sweet note, particularly to break the silence of the seas in the morning time in the remotest islands of the Scotland. It means here in this very particular stanza, on the comparative merits, or on the he tries to analyze the merit. He tries to analyze the merit of the song of the girl and merit of the song of the nightingale and cuckoo, and comes on to a conclusion that the song of the nightingale and cuckoo bird in comparison with this highland lass stand nowhere. Why? Because her song is absolutely mind-blowing, absolutely perfect. So I hope, my dear learners, I hope you must have understood, you must have now a better access to this poem of William Wordsworth. And Very soon I shall come with the next video explaining the third stanza, or I will try to cover the third and fourth stanza of this poem, my dear learners. Thank you, my dear learners, to watch this video.